Welcome to Outmaneuver. I'm Faith, and I'm here today with a preview of the pre-release bundle that you will get when you go to your local game store on March 7th, 8th, or 9th for a pre-release event for Star Wars Unlimited Jump to Lightspeed. Special thanks before we start to Fantasy Flight Games and Gamegenic, who sent us this product to open early, along with this really cool mat. If you'd like, you can check out our previous video where we opened up a bunch of product that will be coming out in this next set. But let's start off by opening up our pre-release kit. So you go to your store, you're gonna get one of these. Inside, very cool art. Inside, you're going to get a box to carry your things inside. You're going to get a divider for your cards that you get to collect. And you're gonna get one of these packages, which will include 2 leaders, which you can play in your pre-release. So these are both the starter leaders, Boba Fett and Han Solo. They're hyperspace versions, non-foil, and the only time you're gonna get them is in this pre-release kit. You will get the regular framed versions in the regular spotlight decks. You get your general how to build a deck and token cutout box. In this, you're going to make a 30 card deck. I always like to start by sorting out my packs. So we've got some really cool pack leaders. So we're gonna get to opening some packs and building our deck. So inside of the deck, you always have a leader, a base, and then you're gonna get 9 commons. I always like to sort my comments. So I'm just gonna show you the content of a pack. These are the cards. You get 3 uncommons, and we're gonna start. You got a rare or legendary. We're gonna start off here with a legendary. This is Devastator, and then we also have a foil card here. That's our general breakdown of a pack. I like to personally, when I'm building my pre-release, when I'm sorting my cards, I get my kit. I like to sort my cards as I'm opening packs. That way, when I come to building, I know what I have better. So typically how I like to sort them is with 5 columns. Have an aggression column, a command column, a vigilance column, a cunning column, and then a other column, which is where my heroism and neutral and villainy cards are going to go. I also like to put my cards, as I'm sorting them, through with heroic cards on top of those colors, the neutral cards in the middle, or the non-aligned cards, and then the villainy cards on the bottom. So when I'm building my deck, I can see which cards I have the most of. You're gonna get 6 packs inside of this kit. So you can, unlike a regular deck, which you can only have 3 copies of a card, in this, you can have any number of cards that you open. If you open 4 Red Squadron Y-Wings, or 5 or 6, you can play all of them in your deck. But you only use your leaders that you open, and you can use any common base though. In the pre-release, you can use Boba and Han, so you'll always have a hero and villain unit leader to choose from. As I like to keep my legendaries and rares separate because, well, rarity does not always mean power level. A lot of the times it can, and so that's just how I like to separate my cards personally. You'll find whatever system works for you best. And here we've got Black 1, which is a rare. So currently we are looking at, and we got a power from Pain. So we've got a legendary and a rare so far, both of them in aggression. And we've got a decent aggression pile here. So early on, we are looking like aggression is the way to go. But we're gonna keep going. We've got 2 Akbars and a Poe so far as our leaders. We are still sorting through our cards. Everyone, again, is going to have a different technique. The more you play a certain set's limited, which is, the sealed format, the more you will get familiar with which kind of play style you like, which cards you like. And here we've got No Glory, Only Results as another rare. We've got a foil legendary. We've got Executor. We've got 2 legendaries this pack. The cool thing about that foil slot is it can contain anything. So we now have 2 big ships, and we've got No Glory, Only Results, Our villainy is looking pretty stacked after 3 packs. However, we only have Boba Fett as our leader. If we get a Piet, I think we probably build that way. We get our first villainy from a pack. Swarming Vulture Droid lets you have 15 copies. In limited, you can always have any number of copies of a card. So right now we're just going through. What I like to do is I like to open all my packs, sort my cards by the colors, and then I have an idea of which cards I'm even going to be able to make a deck. So we've got our rare here and a common. So you get 16 cards in a pack of Star Wars Unlimited. However, one of that is a leader, one of that is a base. So those aren't going to help you towards your 30 card pool, your 30 card sealed deck. You're going to have, we got Luke Skywalker here, very cool leader. That means that you're going to have 84 cards in your pool that you can play with. Of those 84 cards, you may get a base, which would maybe affect that, but you are going to be building a 30 card deck. Now that sounds, oh, you have 84 cards, you're building a 30 card deck, that sounds okay. However, unlike in a draft format where you can filter through and choose a certain color combination of cards that you like or that you want to play with, in sealed, you really only get what you open. And so in Star Wars Unlimited, you will pick your leader, and your base will determine which colors you have. So if you were to have Chopper base with Luke Skywalker, you'll have Cunning, Aggression, and Heroism cards. Other cards you could put in your deck, but will cost you an aspect penalty. So you want to try to avoid playing those in your deck because they're just going to cost more, and they won't be as effective to play. This is our last pack, by the way. We did not open a Piet, but we did open another villainy unit. So we may end up going that way. We'll still have to see. We actually didn't open any command or vigilance leaders. We only opened aggression and villainy leaders. So that will impact our decisions on what we can play. However, your leader and your base can differ in colors, and that will allow you to play other kinds of colors as well. So those are important things to note when you're building your deck. We got our last pack here that we're showing. We got a second Executor. Wow. So you can have legendaries come in regular frame, in foil, and also in hyperspace. The thing to know about this is a hyperspace, your third uncommon can upgrade hyperspace uncommon, rare, or legendary. That means our next card under here will be a rare or legendary. It's a rare. It's Luke Skywalker. And we've got our final card here, which is a hyperspace foil. Holy cow, we have some options here. We've got 2 Executors. We've got a Devastator. We've got a lot of villainy things. Maybe we want to try Black One and Luke Skywalker. I'm going to look at sorting some of these cards. We can kind of have some idea of how we want to play with this, but this is what we've got so far. I'm really excited to see what we're going to build. So I'm going to take a quick pause here, look through some of the cards, and come back with you with a couple deck ideas.
On the screen now, you're going to see the cards laid out in piles with my leaders on the left side and on the top as my 2 starter leaders, as well as my rares that I got on the right side of the screen here. This is something that I like to do when I'm building my deck, is organizing my piles and sorting the cards. So that way I know how many of each color I have. I know from this picture it's hard to tell which piles are bigger than other piles. Particularly, my piles are saying that I have more in the hero and command, some vigilance, and some cunning. But really the command and aggression is what's really speaking to me here. I also just like to know which leaders that I have available to me. Since this is the pre-release box, I do have the Han Boba, but I'm going to really try and base myself off of which deck I can build that will actually have 30 cards in it, and as well, if I can use some of those rares in my deck, because they hopefully will have a little bit more power. Well, the Devastator is a very good card. It is an 8 cost, so it might be too late in the game when I can actually play it, where with Heroism and Black One and Luke, they're a little bit more early game units, and so they can have a greater impact on tempo and hopefully carry me in a game. So I'll go into actually building a deck and showing you what I've come up with, but I wanted to just show you guys kind of my process of what I do.
Well, we did have 3 legendaries, 2 in command villainy and 1 in aggression villainy. We did not have as much supporting pieces that we would have really liked to have. We did have a possibility of going red-green with either Major Volrog or with Boba Fett, and we did have some red-green cards that would help us in the early game, particularly these two of these patrollers, which would give us more units, and these TIE fighters, which are early game units, and the bomber. So that would have been, we would have had a decent early game. A leader like Volrog would have helped with that. However, Devastator costing 8 is a little bit later, and we did have some pieces in the middle to maybe get us there. However, our pool was very good for hero red-green, and so that would be a better choice we found in that we have Luke and we have black 1, and so I've built here a possible deck. We are very lucky that we have 7 turn 1 fighters, which is really helpful for a leader like Luke Skywalker, or like Luke Skywalker, who is wanting fighters, especially because he gives you the ping, and when he goes on your fighters, he's really strong. We do have a turn 2 fighter as well with blue leader, and we do have a 1 turn 4 fighter with the squadron. We do not have a 5-cost fighter, so we don't have any late game fighters, and that's where we have a little bit of a problem with running Luke. It's also hard if you get this pool not to play Poe when you have black 1. The cool thing about Poe, for those that don't know, is his first ability here is action. Actually lets you flip this leader and attach him as a pilot. And what's cool with that is that does not cost you your epic action. So you can do this multiple times. And so with that regard, I think we're going to go with Poe Dameron. We did not open a green base. However, all common bases are allowed to be used. And so we would just grab any green base from the store or from another person's pile. We can ask them if we can borrow their 30 health green base. That is totally, we're able to do that. Here we've got a little bit of a spread. We've got, you want to have, I'd say, at least 6 turn 1 plays. So we have that covered. We've got 9, and by turn 1 plays, turn 1 units. You usually, unless you're playing some kind of control, you're going to want to get units early onto the board. So we have 6 2-cost space units at first, plus we also have 3 other units we could play with this bunker defender, giving you some sentinel on the ground. This viewing's nice because we already have a bunch of fighters, so we might actually not even take that damage. Even if we do, it's not a big deal. And Luke Skywalker, which Luke Skywalker is better as a pilot anyways. So then, as the deck's kind of going to go along, we're going to generally, our play style is going to be putting out units when we can, using Poe's ability to equip to go on to our other units, which will then make them stronger. And even if those units die with Poe on them, then Poe can come back and still be able to play the game. So that's good. One thing to know about Poe's epic action, just to be noted, other leaders like Luke Skywalker, when they use their epic action, they can deploy as a leader on the ground or as a pilot. The only way that Poe Dameron pilots is with his action ability. So when you do have the 5 resources, you can't bring him out as a pilot. But other than that, our early game again is going to be loading the field up with a bunch of space units mostly. We've got some middle game protection here for sentinels, and then later game we've got some more units in space, but we're still giving Poe onto our units to get a bunch of damage out. I would say this is a reprint card, but it's going to be a helpful card. Just having a 4/4 Sentinel, which can be upgraded with Poe, can be a nice little deterrent for people. We are working our way up to our final card, which is this Radis. If we get to it, it is going to be, it's strong. It's an 8/6, so it definitely can end a game. We are hoping to end the game before that, though, so this shouldn't be needed that much. We'd have to play it out and see how it goes. But this is our deck that we would build with this pool. As we're building our deck, we're going to generally want at least 6 turn 1 plays, preferably units. Those are going to cost either 1 resource or 2 resources. You're going to want, I would say, between 3 and 7 events, I find. Events are upgrades. You do want to make sure you have enough units in the deck, so you can't have too many events usually. Events that make units, I would say, count as units themselves. But you are going to need units on the board in order to win, so make sure you have enough of those units. Some early game, but you are going to want to make sure that you also have some late game as well. So that way at every stage of the game, you're being able to play cards that are on curve, it's called. So when you have 4 resources, you want to be able to use all 4 of those resources in order to maximize what you're doing at that point in the game. These are just some general deck building tips that you may find helpful. It's going to be really tough to play cards out of aspect, so in general, you want to minimize the number of cards you're not playing in your leader and basis color, as those will cost you more. The nice thing about Star Wars Unlimited, though, is you can resource them. And we'll see you next time on Outmaneuver.